Good morning, everyone. My name is Cesar Hernandez, and I'm here with
Isaac.
And today, for my class assignment, I decided to choose a podcast. So today, we're talking about masculinity and how growing up in different generations shaped the way we think about being a man. I'm 32, born in 93. My brother Isaac, he is 18, born in 2006, correct? And so we want to compare the messages we heard growing up about toughness, emotions, relationships, and identity. So the first thing I want to ask you, Isaac, being that we grew up in like two total separate like eras, I would say, two different generations. When you hear somebody say like, "Yo, be a man," like, "Yo, man up," like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind, or how do you view that like phrase?
Every time I hear the phrase being a man, I feel like it's like showing you're like dominant, not showing any weakness, not being emotional, being very like calm, taking the lead. I feel like when you're told to be a man, it's like you have to be like perfect. You can't show any sign of weakness. You got to be, perfect.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think that's something that I also kind of grew up on, like just with the understanding of like you're a man, you can't complain. Like you're a man, you have to suck it up. Like you're a man, you gotta keep it moving. Like there was never really emphasis on like mental health. And so I'm wondering, right, like since you have that idea in your head about what you've heard about being a man is, did that translate exactly the same in a classroom setting, like you growing up in, like, let's just say middle school, if you can remember, or even high school? Do you remember it being like heavily like enforced on you by your own like classmates or just people around you?
I would say 50-50. I feel like that idea is like within every guy. Like everybody has that mindset of like, oh, you gotta be better than somebody else at so and so. But like, I feel like it's kind of subconscious. It's not like something that is, I guess, taught. Because I feel like even in today's age, that's like something that they don't encourage anymore. But I feel like everybody still has that mindset still. I would
For
say
sure.
within my classmates at the time, I would say yeah. Like if you were doing anything that wasn't like man-like, they will definitely like clown you for it. Like they'll tell you, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like that's kind of like girlish, or like if you're being too self-expressive, like definitely. But I wouldn't say it's as bad as it probably used to be, but
For sure.
definitely, yeah, like it's still around.
Would you say then, so would you say, like, because we both work like in the field of education, right? So we both are working with kindergarten through fifth graders for majority of the time. Do you think it like happens like during that age range, or do you think at that age range they're still kind of innocent? Based on how you see it now, you working with like students, even like when you were once a 5-year old or like in elementary school, do you think it's like different? Like those expectations are not set by like, let's just say dads or uncles to their kids?
The generation that's coming now, like these elementary kids, absolutely not. I think they don't get taught that anymore. Like they're more encouraged to be how they want to be, no matter what their gender is. Like if you want to sing and dance, no matter if you're a guy, that's fine. You could do whatever you want. I feel like it's stuff for this generation coming up. That's not a thing anymore at all.
Would you say then, so with that being said, since we touched about the educational aspect of like kids, like boys, trying to understanding this concept of man, right? Like, do you think a family plays like a big important part of it as well? Like, would you say that the way we've come to understand that term, how you just described it, do you
Mm.
think it more so it comes from family, or maybe it's what we see on social media? Like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's mainly family. I feel like it comes from the generations before you. It's kind of like a tradition that you're taught from your dad or your mom. Like you're told this is what it is to be a man, and you can do so and so. But I think there is also definitely like an aspect of it that's from media, what we consume every day. That's like taught what's man like, and it's like shown to you like you have to be like this. So I think
For
it's fit.
sure. Yeah, I agree too. Just because like us growing up in like a Mexican household, like oftentimes like the standard is just men go to work, women cook and clean. And so like that's kind of what we are all used to. But then I'm also thinking like, our father was like going through the same thing probably in his household. So it comes from like generations of generations, like, and even myself right now, while I've been taking this class, I've been learning about just like understanding like, that it's okay to like not set those expectations, like, and that's like a wrong way of thinking. Like, because my next question would be like, have you ever experienced that, like from like me or from like our dad? But I'll like bring up a small story. Like, I remember one time we were playing basketball, and I think you were like in middle school or close to high school. But I remember we were playing like a 3-on-3 game or something like that, and I got like super, super like competitive.
Mhm.
And I just remember like just like screaming at you or just like telling you something, but I had to kind of like pause back because I think you were uncomfortable playing with the people we were playing with,
Mhm.
but you didn't know how to tell me it. And so for me, it felt like, well, we're all men. Like, why is he in my mind? I'm like, why is he like complaining, or like, why is he like, why isn't he toughening up? Right? Like, I just hated how I was thinking in that moment, but I had a chance to just reflect on it and just be like, yo, like I should have just checked in with him and just been like, and I feel like us men sometimes we don't do enough checking in with each other because, the stigma of like, maybe that's gay, maybe, we're a certain way, for doing that. So I feel that's the moment that comes up to me where I'm just like, damn, like, but the reason why I'm like that is because I learned that from like other men, from like my, growing up in sports too. Like you're surrounded by a lot of male testosterone where you want to just be like, oh, like let's go kill, so we never really like take time to speak on like anything besides just like what we're accustomed to speaking about as men, right? But have you felt like that, like with me, or in like in a family dynamic, where you felt like, damn, like these expectations are so high and I don't know why, or just answer however you feel.
I can't pinpoint a specific moments, but I would say, yeah, definitely. There would be times where I guess I would be told to, toughen up or man up or, just deal with it. Like, I can't remember specifically because I mean it's been a while since I was a little kid, but I know for sure that was definitely like an idea told to me, like you just have to like accept it. You're a man, you have to get through it. I would even say, talking about sports, I think a lot of athletes would also encourage that mindset too. Like you have to kill, you have to be better than another team, you have to be the best, and
Right.
it doesn't matter how you get there, but you have to be the one.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I want to transition now, since we've been talking about all this masculinity. There was a video that I shared with you that I'm so happy you had the time to really take a look at, which is called the Feminist on Cellblock. Why? And so my questions for you is, do you feel that how did prison culture no, actually, let me rephrase this. Why do some men see vulnerability as weakness? Like, why do you think like men see like vulnerability?
I think men see vulnerability as weaknesses because I guess as a young kid, you're taught that's what girls do. That's what females are accustomed to. They're the ones that are shown to be more emotional, to not show control in their emotions and in their, I guess, their mental health. So as a man, you're told that you can't do that. That's girl like. So any sign of weakness, you just have to, I guess, mask and show this fake, I guess, mask of being tough, even if it's not actually how you are as a person.
For sure. What surprised you most about the documentary? Like, what are some takeaways or things that just took you like, oh wow, like that's crazy.
I think the fact that they had a group of like people finding out like, oh, maybe the way I grew up isn't the right way to be. The fact that they had so many people and there were so many people trying to get others to join the group and get out of their ways, I think that was really cool. I've heard of stuff like that in jails before, how people, they try to change their ways, try to be a better man. I think that was cool. Some of the stories that they had about crimes that they did and how they've changed their ways from that. Um, I think the stories they told, they're very sad, learning how people grew up. Some people even growing up in good childhoods still ending up in jail just because they wanted to be a man and because they were taught you have to show you're the best. Even though they had good parenting and good education, they still ended up doing these bad things just because they wanted to feel like a man.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also stood out to me when he had them all sitting down and just kind of going over like those steps of like what it is to be a man, and everybody was like answering, and then a lot of them like like I think I recall in that moment a lot of them were just like they just couldn't believe that that's what they looked up to, that that's what they believed this whole time and got them like where they're at right now, you know. And so but then when you think about it on a deeper level, it's just like, yeah, but I'm not making an excuse for the crime, but at the same time, like that's the life they only knew because
Yeah.
it was taught to them this way, you know. There was, and so for me, it also blew my mind because I don't know about you, but for me, like I felt like, damn, there were a lot of times in my life where I let like the idea of being a man influence me and prevented me from actually like doing something I wanted to do because perhaps maybe I would have been misjudged or maybe it didn't seem acceptable by other men.
Hmm. Definitely. I feel like there's definitely many times where I would want to do so and so, but I just felt like being judged by other guys that it would be too self-expressive or it would be considered gay. Like that's definitely a thought. I don't know about every guy, but I feel like a lot of people definitely have that in their back of their head like, "Oh, if I do this, maybe they won't see me the same."
Right. This like idea of just like embarrassing ourselves, like, but it's like maybe maybe it would be a good thing if we enjoyed ourselves more, you know, like if we didn't take ourselves so seriously and just like, you know, just enjoy the moment for what it is as opposed to thinking so hard about like, yo, you know, are men gonna look at me crazy for this? Like if I wear this for t-shirt, like are men gonna be, you know, even though I don't feel like it happens as much now because I feel like now we're in this age of like social media where fashion when it comes to men has been evolving. Like a lot of men have been taking risks in a good way and really showcasing that you can have some sort of style and fashion as a guy. So with that being said, like for me, most of the media that I took in growing up, like was heavily dominated by like, yo, this is the idea of being a man, but I feel like it kind of has shifted with these new age of like influencers and like social media and stuff. So my question to you is, do you think what role do influencers and social media play? Like, do they have a role you think to play
Absolutely.
or yeah?
I think they definitely do. Um, you know, us growing up, even at my age, we're still heavily influenced by what we see on TV, what we see from our idols. Athletes today putting on nail polish or wearing stuff that would be back then considered girl-like. Um, it influences you. It even if they get judged still today by people, it's them showing they're brave to wear this stuff or to express themselves in a way that wouldn't be considered manlike, and that definitely can influence somebody into being themselves more.
Yeah. Do you think we have a lot more of that now, this in this age? Like, you think we more kids, like young kids growing up, can maybe see like a Kai Cenat or like a or let's I'm trying to think of somebody else. Like me, even Mr. Beast, right? Like they're just having fun, right? I don't think I've ever seen streams where they really focus on, yo, this is what men do, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Mr. Beast, an example, I wouldn't say so. There's people in his group that are I think one of them is transgender. So I
Oh,
feel like
okay.
there's that showing like, oh, it's okay to like, because I think in previous videos he was just like, you know, he hadn't what would I say? What's the word? Like he hadn't changed into being himself and being transgender. So it shows how even though he had made this new identity for themselves, it didn't affect their friendship. So I think that's
Right,
the
right.
thing. When it comes to something like Kai Cenat, I will say he doesn't specifically say be a man, but there's definitely things that he does that would be like encouraging. Oh yeah, you can't do so and so. Like you gotta be like this. You gotta be cool like this. You can't wear that other stuff. Or even like their actions too, like how they talk to each other and stuff like that. I feel like they definitely do still have a little bit of that idea of just being a man and not doing things that are considered girl like.
Okay, okay. So with that being said, right, like, do you think overall masculinity is changing? Like, do you think we've come a long way from, like, as we said, like, just not really talking about our emotions and just sort of just, you know, like the idea of being a man? Like, what do you think? Like, do you think we've come far? Or you think there's still more room to grow? And what would you change?
I will say it's definitely in the right direction. It's not 100% there, but absolutely compared to how it was before, there's way more spotlight on men sharing their mental health, sharing emotions that they have, being more expressive, It's definitely in the right direction, but there's always going to be people that are more traditional and will like judge the way you are. Like if you go to any comment section of an NBA player wearing something crazy in their eyes, you will see like there's still people that have that idea, and it's very difficult to get out of that mindset because it's for some people it's all you know. But it's definitely in the right direction, but it's not all the way there yet.
For sure. What about you as an individual? Like you holding yourself accountable. Like let's just say like you're around like since you're around a lot of like children, right? Like that idea, do you think that's something that you would like want to instill in them, or you would find maybe a different approach of how to instill that idea, but maybe in a more like less expectations type?
The way I would do it, there's times where there are students that judge other students, male students that maybe do something that would be considered girl-like. And to me, I just encourage them to be themselves. Doesn't matter if they think it's girl-like or man-like. If it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. It doesn't matter what other people think. You just have to be proud in yourself. You have to accept yourself and not let other thoughts outside of your bubble affect what you are as a person.
For sure, yeah, yeah. I think us as individuals, our responsibility, like you said, is just it being having the ability to tell people like I accept you, and just like even if like with kids are that we're teaching, right? Like they might look at a toy and be like, "Yo, that's a boy toy or that's a girl toy," and
Mhm.
so I always try to remind them like, "Yo, this is just a toy. Like this, you don't need to add a gender to this like item. Like it's just what it is, and anyone can like play with this toy, and anyone can like use it, or even clothes, like well, those are girl clothes, those are boy clothes. Like they're just clothes. Like
Yeah.
anyone can wear them. Like I just don't think there's this idea of like always putting gender on like non-living things to me makes no sense. So I
Hmm.
think us as a society, like it's just like teaching more of those things. You think like maybe do you think there should be like classes maybe centered around like not specifically like I'm taking a class on like feminism sort of and like, but do you think there should be like more masculinity classes like for boys like at a young age because maybe they're growing up a certain way in the household, right? But at school they're teaching them like, you gotta be certain this way as well. So what do you think on that?
Um, a class for it, I would say it's a good idea, but I feel like with parents, that wouldn't be something that they would probably want. What I would say would be better is just having those ideas of accepting yourself and not having this idea of being a man just lightly encouraged to you by your teachers and the people around you instead of a specific class for it. Unless it's like there's students already in the school that are just heavily in that mindset, that could be maybe a class for them to like get out of that. But I don't think you need a class. You just need people around you to instill that idea that you don't have to be like this just because you're a man. Just having a a circle of staff that just are always telling you just be who you are. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. You just be who you are.
For sure. In your circle of friends, right? Like, do you feel like that's something that you guys like talk about a lot? Like, or just like, is it heavily based on just like things like guys do, or do you think it's evolved and sort of like, we're able to just really talk about real life stuff and just like not judge each other off?
Um, for me, I would say a little bit. There's definitely still that idea of like, oh, you shouldn't talk about that. Like that's too self-expressive or that's girl-like. But there's definitely moments where you have that vulnerability, like where you could just have real talk with somebody and just be like, yo, I'm feeling like this, or I want to do this and that, and they won't judge you. But
Sure.
I
Yeah,
feel
because yeah, I experienced that like myself, like at your age, where I was asking, because like I know at my age, like when I was like 18, like at the time, like me and my boys would just talk about like, women and just like reckless stuff that like is stereotypical of men, right?
like,
But as we've evolved as men and like grown and matured, right? Like we don't have those conversations as much. Like we just have more conversations centered around family and just stability and stuff. So I do think like as you grow up, it's like it falls on you to like gain information and like mature. But I'm glad to see that for you it's kind of different, like with your friend group. Like it's not heavily centered around those stereotypical male conversations. But okay, great, great. I think that's all the questions I had for you today. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or just any thoughts about just this topic of masculinity, like
I
that
will
you'd like to share?
I will say something that came up into my mind while we were talking about it. I think another aspect of masculinity is living up to standards for your parents. Because that's
Oh, wow. Okay.
something that I remembered from the video too, how there were many people in jail that did these crimes just because when they were a young age, they wanted to, I guess, fulfill expectations from their parents. And whether they had failed or succeeded, or maybe they just never got to it, had this need to show they had dominance, or that they had power over something, which led them to crimes. So I feel like a lot of it is also based on just the expectations you're given by your parents. Even if it's not all consider like it's the topic isn't just about being a man, it's about having such pressure on you because you're a man.
Right. I see what you're saying. Like, for example, right, like if let's say you graduate from school with a degree in nursing as a man, right? As a
Mhm.
nurse, right? It might be less acceptable from like your dad as opposed if you're graduating from a college with a degree in like architecture. Like
Absolutely.
even like the jobs we like work for. Like I remember a certain time where like even our dad would just look upon me like you work with kids, like that's no, that's not like a manly job, like it's more of a woman job, which is a horrible way of looking at things. But he has evolved too in a sense of like of how he used to think as well. So I'm proud of him for that. Um, but even like, yeah, even now, I think we should be able to just be accepting of either gender deciding to choose where they want to work at and not be so judgy about it. But I agree, absolutely 100 agree with you about the parent expectation part of it. Because yeah, that's not it. I think it also depends on the culture, right? Like maybe like some cultures, like I can't speak to them, but in ours specifically, there is yeah like an expectation from like just like yo, you should be doing like this heavy lifting or like construction, like you can't be getting your like you have to like get your hands dirty in a sense. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point. Well, I thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you joining us for this intervention to discuss how you failed. Not kidding. We appreciate you stopping by for sure and giving us your take on this particular topic today. And so I hope you have a great rest of your day. You seem like a young, intelligent man with a bright future. And yeah, before this interview goes off the rails, I need some Fiji water right now. I'm parched. But all right, I'll talk to you later. Thank you once again, and until next time. All right. Sorry. Let me, that's the noise while I get into character. All right. All right. Well, hopefully we could be serious, bro, on this.
No.
My friends are gonna be like, you didn't care about masculinity whatsoever. You just laughed with your brother the whole time. But okay, all right. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A good afternoon, everybody. This is my podcast project for my class. Wait, 1 second. Why did I just forget the name of my class? You know what? I don't even have to say all that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cesar Hernandez, and today we will be discussing. No, actually, no, I don't like that intro. Sorry. Rewind, rewind. Happy Monday, everybody. No, wait, she'll know the date and then she'll know it's late. Sorry. Sorry. All right.